My name is Ava, and I trusted my husband with everything, every dollar, every dream, every piece of my heart. The day I found out he was stealing from me, I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just sat at that kitchen table and watched my whole future disappear. $400,000. Gone, while he smiled in my face every single morning. He said he was sorry. He said he loved me. He said a lot of things. But here is what he didn't know. He didn't know what I was capable of. He didn't know I was watching. He didn't know I had a plan. What happened next changed everything. Not just for him, for me. My name is Ava, and I am going to tell you a story about love, trust, and the day I found out that the man I loved had been stealing from me for years. This is not a story about infidelity or another woman. It is a story about something just as painful, just as betrayal. It is a story about money and how the pursuit of it can turn the person you trust most into a stranger. It is a story about discovering that the life you thought you were building together was built on lies and theft, and what one woman did when she had nothing left to lose. I was 34 years old when my world ended. It did not end with a fight or a confession or a dramatic scene. It ended on a Thursday afternoon in September in the most ordinary way imaginable. I was sitting in the office of my accountant, a quiet, nervous man named Mr. Peterson who had handled my taxes for years. I was there for a routine meeting, going over some numbers for a small business loan I was considering. I had no idea that before that meeting ended, my entire life would be turned inside out. Looking back now, I wonder if there were signs I missed. Little moments that should have told me something was wrong. Derek coming home late, looking tired and stressed. His avoidance of conversations about money. The way he would change the subject whenever I mentioned our retirement plans. I see them now, clear as day. But when you love someone, you do not look for signs. You trust. You believe. You give them the benefit of every doubt. That is what love is supposed to be. My husband, Derek, and I had been together for 12 years, married for 9. We met in our mid-20s, both working entry-level jobs at the same company. He was in sales, charming and ambitious, with a smile that could light up a room. I was in accounting, quiet and detail-oriented, the kind of person who noticed things other people missed. We balanced each other perfectly. He was the dreamer, I was the planner. Together, we thought we could build anything. I remember our first date like it was yesterday. He took me to a little Italian restaurant, the kind with red checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. He talked about his dreams, his plans, his vision for the future. He wanted to be successful, he said. He wanted to provide for his family, give them everything they deserved. I listened, captivated, thinking I had found someone special, someone who would always put us first. And we did build something. Over the years, we built a good life. Derek climbed the corporate ladder, eventually becoming a regional manager with a 6-figure salary. I started my own small bookkeeping business, working from home, helping other small business owners manage their finances. We bought a beautiful house in a nice neighborhood. We drove nice cars. We took nice vacations. We talked about retiring early, maybe buying a place on the lake, spending our golden years fishing and watching sunsets. We had joint bank accounts, joint investments, joint everything. That was how we always did it. What was mine was his, and what was his was mine. We were a team. We trusted each other completely, or so I thought. The trouble started about a year before that Thursday afternoon. Small things at first. Derek became more secretive about money. He would tense up when I mentioned our savings or our investments. He started suggesting we keep more separate accounts, for convenience, he said, for flexibility. I thought it was strange, but I trusted him. I signed the papers he put in front of me without really reading them. That was my first mistake. Then the credit card bills started coming. Large purchases I did not recognize. Derek always had an explanation. A business dinner. A client gift. A new suit for an important meeting. I accepted these explanations because I wanted to, because doubting him would mean doubting everything, and I was not ready for that. Then came the phone calls. Late at night, Derek would step into another room to take them. He said they were work calls, clients in different time zones. I believed him. I had no reason not to. Then came the day I went to see Mr. Peterson. I sat in his cramped little office, going over the paperwork for my business loan. Mr. Peterson was flipping through files, nodding, making notes. Then he stopped. He frowned. He flipped back a few pages, then forward again. His forehead creased with confusion. "Miss Matthews," he said slowly, "I'm looking at your financial records and I'm seeing some discrepancies." I leaned forward. "What kind of discrepancies?" He turned his computer screen towards me. "There are several large withdrawals from your joint savings account over the past 3 years, large enough that they should have triggered notifications. Did you receive those notifications?" I shook my head. "No, I never got anything." He nodded slowly, his expression troubled. "And there are transfers to accounts I don't recognize, offshore accounts by the looks of it. And your investment portfolio? Well, it's been liquidated, almost completely. There's practically nothing left." The room spun. I gripped the arms of my chair. "That's not possible. We have over $400,000 in investments. We have savings, we have retirement accounts." Mr. Peterson looked at me with something like pity in his eyes. "Had, Miss Matthews, past tense. From what I can see, most of it has been moved out over the past 3 years. Slowly, carefully, in amounts designed not to trigger automatic alerts. Someone knew what they were doing. Someone with access to all your accounts." I did not need him to say the name. I already knew. Derek, my husband, my partner, my best friend for 12 years. He had been stealing from me, for 3 years. I do not remember leaving Mr. Peterson's office. I do not remember driving home. I do not remember walking through the front door of the house I thought we owned together. The next thing I remember, I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a stack of bank statements I had pulled from our home office. Page after page of withdrawals, transfers, payments I did not recognize. Thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands, all gone. I sat there for hours, watching the afternoon light fade to evening, then to night. I did not cry. I was too numb for tears. I just sat there, holding the evidence of my husband's betrayal in my hands, trying to understand how the man I loved could do this to me. How could he look me in the eye every day, tell me he loved me, make plans for our future, while systematically destroying that future behind my back? I thought about all the times he had held me, kissed me, whispered that everything would be okay. I thought about the vacations we took, the laughter we shared, the dreams we built. Was any of it real? Or was it all just a performance, a mask he wore while he picked our life apart piece by piece? Derek came home around 9. I heard his key in the lock, his footsteps in the hall, his voice calling out, "Honey, I'm home." The same words he had said thousands of times before. Words that used to make me smile. Now they made my blood run cold. He found me at the kitchen table, the bank statements spread out before me. He stopped in the doorway. For a long moment, he just stood there, looking at me, looking at the papers, putting it together. I watched his face change. Confusion, realization, fear, guilt, all of them flickered across his features in the space of a heartbeat. "Ava," he said, his voice was careful, measured. "What are you doing?" I looked up at him. This man I had loved for 12 years. This man I had trusted with everything. This man who had been systematically destroying our future while smiling in my face every single day. "I went to see Mr. Peterson today," I said. My voice was calm, deadly calm. "For my business loan. He showed me some interesting things, Derek, things about our accounts, about our investments, about the money that's supposed to be there but isn't." He said nothing. He just stood there, frozen in the doorway, his face pale. 3 years, I continued. "You've been doing this for 3 years, moving money, hiding it, stealing from us. From me, while I sat here, trusting you, loving you, building a life with you." He opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. Don't lie to me. Don't make excuses. I have the papers. I have the proof. I just want to know one thing. Why?" He slumped against the doorframe. For a moment, I thought he might collapse. Then he walked slowly to the table and sat down across from me. He looked old, broken. Nothing like the confident, charming man I had married. "I don't know," he whispered. "I don't know why I started. It was just a little at first. I had some bad investments, some debts I didn't tell you about. I thought I could fix it, make it back, and you would never have to know. But then it got bigger, and I couldn't stop." "Where is it?" I asked. "Where is the money?" He shook his head. "Most of it's gone, bad investments, gambling. I thought I could turn it around, make it all back, but I just kept losing." "I'm sorry, Ava. I am so sorry." Sorry, the most useless word in the English language. What did sorry matter when our future was gone, when our retirement had been gambled away? When the house we lived in, the cars we drove, the life we had built, was all built on a foundation of lies, I asked him more questions. I asked him for hours. How much? Where did it go? Who else knew? He answered them all in that same broken voice. The total was over $400,000. Our entire savings, our investments, our retirement, all gone. He had been seeing a financial advisor on the side, a man who promised huge returns but delivered only losses. He had been gambling online, chasing his losses, digging the hole deeper and deeper. He had taken out loans in both our names, loans I did not know about, loans that were now coming due. By the time he finished talking, it was after midnight. I sat across from him, this stranger I had shared my life with, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a vast, empty numbness. He had taken everything, not just the money. He had taken my trust, my sense of security, my belief that I knew the person I loved. He had taken years of my life, years I could have been building something real with someone who deserved me. He moved out that weekend. I told him to go, and he went. He did not fight. He did not argue. He just packed a bag and left, his tail between his legs, a coward to the end. I watched him drive away, and I felt relief. The house was mine now. Empty, but mine. The weeks that followed were the darkest of my life. I had to face the reality of what he had done. The house was in both our names, but the mortgage was still there, and now I was the only one paying it. The cars were leased and the payments were due. The credit card debt was mounting, much of it in my name, run up by Derek without my knowledge. I was drowning, and there was no one to throw me a rope. I had to sell things. The nice furniture. The jewelry Derek had given me over the years, gifts I now realized were bought with stolen money. The second car. I let go of it all, piece by piece, watching my beautiful life disappear like smoke. I had to take on more clients, work longer hours, hustle in ways I never had before. My little bookkeeping business became my lifeline. I threw myself into it, working 16-hour days, taking any job I could get, building something that was mine and mine alone. It was exhausting, but it was also saving me. It gave me focus. It gave me purpose. It gave me something to hold on to when everything else was falling apart. My sister, Jenna, was my rock. She came over every weekend, even when I did not ask her to. She brought food, helped me clean, sat with me in silence when I could not talk. She never said, "I told you so," or "You should have seen it coming." She just loved me, steady and constant, a light in the darkness. My mom called every day. She left voicemails full of love and concern. Sometimes I listened to them. Sometimes I did not. But just knowing she was there, that someone in the world loved me unconditionally, kept me going. The anger came later. And when it came, it was a fire. It burned away the numbness and left behind something hard and sharp. I was angry at Derek, of course, for stealing, for lying, for destroying our future. But I was also angry at myself, for not seeing it, for trusting him, for giving him 12 years of my life only to have him throw it away for greed and stupidity. I started to obsess. I went through every financial record I could find, looking for clues I had missed. I found more, so much more, loans I did not know about, credit cards in my name that he had opened without my knowledge, payments to online gambling sites, transfers to accounts I could not trace. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. I hired a lawyer. A sharp, no-nonsense woman named Margaret Chen who specialized in financial fraud. She listened to my story, looked at my evidence, and nodded grimly. "He cleaned you out," she said. "Systematically, over years. This wasn't a mistake, Ava. This was a plan." I knew that. But hearing someone else say it made it real, made it hurt in a new way. We filed for divorce. Derek did not fight it. He did not have a leg to stand on. The judge awarded me the house, such as it was, and whatever assets remained. There were not many. Derek walked away with nothing, which was only fair since he had already taken everything. But even with the divorce finalized, even with him out of my life, I could not let go. The anger burned inside me, a constant fire. I wanted him to hurt the way I hurt. I wanted him to understand what he had done. I wanted revenge. I started watching him. It was easy enough. He had moved to a cheap apartment across town, taken a lower-paying job, was living the consequences of his actions. But that was not enough for me. I wanted more. I created a fake identity online, a persona, a wealthy businesswoman looking to invest in promising ventures. I used it to get close to him, to offer him opportunities, to dangle the kind of easy money he had always chased. He took the bait, of course he did. He was weak, greedy, predictable. Over the course of several months, I befriended him under this false identity. I listened to his problems, his regrets, his schemes. He talked about his ex-wife, me, with a mixture of guilt and resentment. He talked about his dreams of getting rich again, of showing everyone what he was capable of. He had learned nothing. He was still the same man who had destroyed our marriage. I led him on. I promised investments that never materialized. I dangled opportunities that always slipped away at the last moment. I made him hope, then crushed that hope over and over again. It was satisfying in a dark way. It made me feel powerful. It made me feel like I was in control. But it was not enough. I wanted more. I found out about a woman he was dating. Her name was Rachel. She was younger, pretty, seemed nice enough. I wondered if she knew what kind of man she was getting involved with. I wondered if she knew about the debt, the lies, the gambling. I decided to find out. I approached her as a friend. We met at a coffee shop, supposedly by accident. I was charming, warm, easy to talk to. She opened up to me quickly. She talked about Derek, her new boyfriend, how wonderful he was, how he made her feel special. I listened, nodding, smiling, while inside I was cataloging every word. I started planting seeds. Small doubts at first. Questions about his past. Concerns about his finances. Mentions of articles I had read about gambling addiction, financial fraud, men who hide their debts from the women who love them. Nothing direct. Nothing she could point to. Just little things designed to grow. It worked. Over time, she started to question him. She started looking at his bank statements, his credit card bills. She started asking hard questions. And when she found the answers, when she saw the pattern of debt and lies that was his life, she left him. Just like that. He was alone again. I should have felt satisfied. I had hurt him. I had taken away his new relationship, his chance at happiness. But all I felt was empty, hollow, like I was digging a hole and could not stop digging. The obsession grew. I started following him, watching his apartment, learning his routines. I became a ghost in his life, always watching, never seen. I knew where he shopped, where he ate, where he went on weekends. I knew his schedule better than he did. One night, I followed him to a bar. He was sitting alone, nursing a drink, looking defeated. I sat down a few stools away, ordered my own drink, watched him in the mirror. He did not notice me. He never did. A woman approached him. Pretty, dark hair, friendly smile. They started talking, laughing. I watched her fall for his charm, the same charm that had hooked me 12 years ago. I watched him work his magic, and I felt something snap inside me. I could not let it happen again. I could not let another woman fall into his trap. I waited until she went to the bathroom, then I approached him. I sat down in her empty seat and looked him in the eyes. "Hello, Derek," he stared at me. Recognition dawned slowly, then all at once. His face went pale. "Ava, what are you doing here?" I smiled. It was not a nice smile. "I've been watching you, for a long time. I know about the woman you were just talking to. I know about the ones before her. I know about the debts, the lies, the schemes, and I'm here to tell you that it stops now." He tried to bluster, tried to act indignant, but I saw the fear in his eyes. He knew. He knew what I was capable of. "I have evidence, Derek," I said. "Evidence of everything. The gambling, the fraud, the loans you took out in my name, all of it. If you ever try to build a life with another woman, if you ever try to drag someone else into your mess, I will ruin you. I will send everything to her family, to her employer. I will make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. Do you understand?" He nodded. He did not say a word. I stood up. "Good. Stay away from decent women. Stay away from everyone. You don't deserve happiness. You don't deserve anything." I walked out of that bar and never looked back. For a while, I felt powerful. I felt like I had won. But the feeling did not last. It never does. Revenge is a drug, and like any drug, the high fades, leaving you empty and craving more. I started to realize that my obsession with Derek was destroying me. I was spending hours every day watching him, plotting against him, thinking about him. He was living rent-free in my head, even after everything he had taken from me. I was the one suffering now. I was the one unable to move on. I stopped. It was hard, harder than anything I had ever done. But I stopped. I deleted the fake accounts. I stopped following him. I forced myself to focus on my own life, my own healing, my own future. It took time. It took therapy. It took long talks with Jenna, late nights crying, early mornings forcing myself out of bed. It took rebuilding my business, my finances, my sense of self. It took learning to trust again, to believe that not everyone was like Derek, that I could love again without being destroyed. I met someone eventually. A good man named Thomas. He was an architect, quiet and kind, with a steady presence that made me feel safe. We took things slow. I told him about Derek, about the money, about the revenge. I told him everything, waiting for him to run. He did not. "That's not who you are," he said. "Not anymore. I see who you are now. That's who I love." We have been together for 4 years now. We live in a small house with a garden. We have a cat named Pepper who thinks she runs the place. We talk about the future, about traveling, about growing old together. It is not the future I imagined with Derek. It is better. It is real. Sometimes, late at night, I think about what I did. I wonder if Derek ever changed, ever learned, ever became a better man. I doubt it. Some people do not change, but I did. I changed. I stopped being the woman defined by betrayal and started being the woman defined by survival. My name is Ava, and I am going to tell you a story about love, trust, and money. But the ending is not about revenge. It is about letting go. It is about building something new from the ruins of the old. It is about discovering that the only person you can truly trust is yourself, and that is enough. The money is gone. The marriage is gone. The man I thought I loved is gone, but I am still here. I am still standing. And that, I have learned, is the only victory that matters. But let me tell you more. Let me tell you about the years in between, the ones I glossed over. Because the healing, the rebuilding, the becoming, that is where the real story lives. After I stopped watching Derek, after I deleted those fake accounts and forced myself to let go, I had to face something I had been avoiding. Myself. The woman I had become. The woman capable of manipulation, of obsession, of cruelty. I did not like her. I did not want to be her. But she was me, and I had to accept that before I could move on. Therapy helped. I found a counselor named Dr. Evelyn Moore, a soft-spoken woman with kind eyes who did not judge me for the things I had done. She listened to my story, nodded thoughtfully, and said, "You did what you had to do to survive. But now it's time to do more than survive. It's time to live." We worked together for over a year. We talked about Derek, about the betrayal, about the revenge. We talked about my childhood, my parents, my fears. We talked about trust and why it was so hard for me to give it again. We talked about forgiveness, not for Derek, but for myself. Forgiving myself was the hardest part. I had done things I was not proud of. I had manipulated people. I had hurt Rachel, even if she never knew it was me. I had become the kind of person I used to pity. But Dr. Moore helped me understand that what I did came from a place of pain, not evil. That I was not defined by my worst moments. That I could choose to be different. I started rebuilding my business in earnest. I took on more clients, worked harder, built a reputation as someone reliable and trustworthy. I hired an assistant, a young woman named Maria who was just starting out and reminded me of myself years ago. I taught her everything I knew, watched her grow, felt a pride I had not felt in years. I started investing again, carefully this time. I worked with a financial advisor, a straight-talking woman named Patricia who did not try to sell me on get-rich-quick schemes. We built a plan, slow and steady, and I watched my savings grow, penny by penny. It was not $400,000. It might never be again. But it was mine. All mine. I started dating. It was terrifying at first. I had been with Derek for so long, I did not know how to be with anyone else. I went on awkward dates, bad dates, dates that made me want to give up entirely. But I kept trying, because Dr. Moore told me that hiding from love was not living. Then I met Thomas. It was at a coffee shop, the same one where I had first met Rachel years ago. I was reading a book, trying to hide from the world when a voice said, "That's one of my favorites." I looked up. A man was standing there, holding his own coffee, nodding at my book. He had kind eyes, a gentle smile, salt and pepper hair. He looked like someone who had seen things, who understood things, who would not run when things got hard. "It's my favorite," I said. "I've read it a dozen times." He smiled. "Mind if I sit down?" That was the beginning. Thomas was different from Derek in every way. He was quiet where Derek was loud. He was steady where Derek was chaotic. He listened more than he talked. He asked questions and actually waited for the answers. He did not try to impress me with stories of success or plans for wealth. He just was present, real. We took things slow, very slow. I told him about Derek on our third date. I sat across from him at a little restaurant and laid out the whole story. The money, the betrayal, the revenge. I waited for him to excuse himself, to find a reason to leave, to never call again. He listened, he nodded. When I finished, he reached across the table and took my hand. "That must have been terrible," he said. "I'm sorry you went through that." That was it. No judgment, no fear, just kindness. I met his family eventually. His mother, a warm woman who hugged me like she had known me forever. His father, a retired firefighter with a firm handshake and a gentle manner. His sister, who laughed too loud and told embarrassing stories about Thomas as a child. They welcomed me like I was already one of them. Thomas met my family too. Jenna loved him immediately. She pulled me aside after dinner and whispered, "This one's a keeper. Don't screw it up." My mom cried happy tears and told Thomas he was welcome anytime. Even my dad, who was usually reserved with new people, warmed up to him over a game of chess. We moved in together after 2 years. It was a big step, one I had been nervous about. But it felt right, natural, like coming home. We bought a house together, a small fixer-upper with a big backyard. We spent weekends painting, planting, building. Thomas was handy in ways I was not. He could fix anything, build anything, figure out anything. I watched him work, saw the concentration on his face, the care he put into every detail, and I fell in love with him all over again. We got a cat. Pepper, we called her because she was spicy and sweet in equal measure. She slept on our bed, chased sunbeams through the house, and acted like she owned the place. In a way, she did. We talked about marriage. Thomas brought it up one night, sitting on the couch, Pepper curled in his lap. "I want to marry you," he said simply. "I've known for a long time. I just wanted to wait until you were ready." I was ready. I had been ready for a while, I realized. I was just scared to admit it. We got married in a small ceremony, just family and close friends. Jenna was my maid of honor. Maria, my assistant, cried through the whole thing. Thomas's mother held my mom's hand, and they both wept happy tears. It was simple, beautiful, perfect. On our wedding night, lying in bed in a hotel room overlooking the ocean, Thomas turned to me and said, "I'm proud of you, you know, for everything you survived, for the woman you are." I cried. Happy tears for once. The years since have been good. Not perfect, nothing is perfect, but good. Real, solid. We have our fights, our disagreements, our moments of frustration, but we always come back to each other. Always choose each other. Always remember why we fell in love. My business has grown. I have a small team now, 5 employees, all women, all amazing. We help other small business owners, mostly women, navigate their finances. I tell them my story sometimes, the parts that are relevant. I tell them to trust but verify. I tell them to protect themselves. I tell them that love and money can coexist, but only if both people are honest. I still think about Derek sometimes, not with anger anymore, just with a kind of distant sadness. I heard through mutual friends that he moved away, started over somewhere else. I hope he found help. I hope he changed. But I do not need to know. He is not my concern anymore. I think about Rachel too. The woman I hurt, even if she never knew it. I hope she found someone good. I hope she is happy. I hope she never has to go through what I went through. And I think about the woman I was. The one who sat in that kitchen, staring at bank statements, watching her life fall apart. The one who became obsessed, who plotted revenge, who did terrible things in the name of justice. I do not hate her anymore. I pity her. She was hurting. She was lost. She did what she thought she had to do to survive. But I am not her anymore. I am someone else. Someone stronger. Someone wiser. Someone who knows that the only way to truly win is to let go. My name is Ava. I am 42 years old. I am married to a good man. I have a business I love, a sister who is my best friend, a mother who still calls every day, a cat who thinks she runs the house. I have a life that is mine, built by me for me. The money Derek stole is gone. It will never come back. But I have something better. I have peace. I have love. I have myself. And that, I have learned, is the only victory that matters. But there is more to tell. There is always more. I want to tell you about the small moments. The ones that do not make it into the big story, but are the real fabric of a life. I want to tell you about the morning I woke up and realized I had not thought about Derek in a week. It was a Tuesday, ordinary in every way. I made coffee, fed Pepper, sat on the porch with the paper, and somewhere around noon it hit me, a whole week. No anger, no obsession, no Derek. I sat there and cried, but they were good tears, tears of release. I want to tell you about the first time Thomas and I had a real fight. It was over something stupid, I do not even remember what. But I remember the fear that shot through me, the old fear that this was it, that he would leave, that I would be alone again. He did not leave, he stayed, we talked, we worked it out. And the next morning he made me breakfast and kissed my forehead and said, "I love you, even when we fight." That was when I knew he was different. I want to tell you about the day my business hit a milestone I never thought possible. $1 million in client assets under management. I stared at the number on my screen and thought about that kitchen table, those bank statements, that feeling of having nothing. Now I had something. Not just money, but proof. Proof that I could build something on my own. I want to tell you about Jenna's wedding. She asked me to be her maid of honor, and I stood up there, watching my little sister marry the love of her life, and I felt nothing but joy. No envy, no bitterness. Just pure, uncomplicated happiness for someone I loved. That was when I knew I was really healed. I want to tell you about my mom's 70th birthday. We threw her a party, all of us together. Jenna and her husband, Thomas and me, aunts and uncles and cousins and friends. My mom made a speech, talked about how proud she was of her girls, how we had grown into strong women. She looked at me when she said it, and I knew she meant it. I want to tell you about Pepper, our cat. She is old now, gray around the muzzle, slower than she used to be. She still sleeps on our bed, still chases sunbeams, still acts like she owns the place. Sometimes I look at her and think about all she has seen with us. All the quiet mornings, the rainy afternoons, the peaceful nights. She is a witness to our life, our real life, the one we built together. I want to tell you about the trip Thomas and I took to Italy last year. We walked through Rome, ate pasta in Florence, watched the sunset in Venice. It was everything we had dreamed of, everything we had worked for. And as I sat there, watching the sun dip below the water, holding his hand, I thought about that girl in the kitchen, the one who thought her life was over. I wished I could go back and tell her that it was not over. It was just beginning. I want to tell you about the night I finally forgave myself. It was not dramatic. There was no moment of revelation. I was just lying in bed next to Thomas, listening to him breathe, and I realized I had stopped carrying the weight. The guilt, the shame, the anger at myself for what I had done. It was gone. I had let it go somewhere along the way without even noticing. I want to tell you about the book I am writing. This story, the one I am telling you now, it started as a journal, just notes to myself, trying to make sense of everything. Then it became something more. A record, a testament, a way of saying, this happened and I survived. I want to tell you about the women who come to me now, young women mostly, who have heard my story through word of mouth. They sit in my office, twist their hands, tell me about husbands or partners who are acting strange with money. They are scared. They are confused. They do not want to believe what their gut is telling them. I listen. I tell them my story. I tell them to trust but verify. I tell them to protect themselves. I tell them that whatever happens, they will survive. They will be okay. I want to tell you about the peace I have found. It is not the peace of forgetting. I will never forget what Derek did. I will never forget what I did in response. But it is the peace of acceptance. Of understanding that life is messy, people are complicated, and we all do the best we can with what we have. I want to tell you about love. Real love, the kind that does not need to be performed or proven. The kind that just is. Thomas brings me coffee every morning, exactly the way I like it. He leaves notes in my lunch, silly little things, just to make me smile. He holds me when I have bad dreams, and he does not ask what they are about. He knows. He just knows. I want to tell you about the future. We talk about it sometimes. Thomas and I retirement, maybe, someday, traveling more. Spending time with whatever family we have. Growing old together the way we always wanted. It is not a guarantee, nothing is, but it is a hope. A plan, a dream we share. I want to tell you about the girl I was. The one who trusted too much, loved too hard, believed too completely. I do not blame her anymore. She was doing her best. She was loving the way she knew how. She did not deserve what happened to her. None of it. I want to tell you about the woman I became. The one who fought back, who plotted revenge, who did terrible things. I do not celebrate her. But I do not condemn her either. She was hurting. She was lost. She was trying to find her way back to herself. And I want to tell you about the woman I am now. The one who has learned that the only person you can truly control is yourself. The one who knows that revenge is a dead end, that healing is the only real victory. The one who has found peace, not in forgetting, but in accepting. The one who loves again, trusts again, hopes again. My name is Ava. I am 42 years old. I am married to a good man. I have a business I love, a sister who is my best friend, a mother who still calls every day, a cat who thinks she runs the house. I have a life that is mine, built by me for me. The money Derek stole is gone. It will never come back. But I have something better. I have peace. I have love. I have myself. And that, I have learned, is the only victory that matters. My name is Ava, and this is my story.